Oh my gosh, this is going to be a video of all time. Hello everybody, how's it going today? Glowplasma231 here, back in data on Märchen Crown, chapter number 13. This chapter is titled, The Cursed Lovers. And yes, we have two pairs of cursed lovers in this series. I wonder which one this is referring to, and legitimately, I actually don't know. I mean, on one hand, we do get a focus on the prince who we met a few chapters ago. Hey, I was right at the end of the day, and I mean, it was like the most easiest prediction you could have probably ever made, and we'll learn later on that this guy's name is Ela, which that is a pretty interesting name, all things considered. I will give it to Märchen Crown. I was like, oh yes, King Ela. I think that's a really interesting name. Of course, Cinderella along with him. And of course, like, they're a cursed lovers pretty much, right? But also we have, like, yes, we have Mikel and Rapunzel, our main characters. And the end of the chapter, I will spoil it right now. Oh no, it's them reuniting. Wow, that's crazy. But the whole idea of who is this chapter I'm talking about, I'm not really 100% sure. But of course, we were coming out of Märchen Crown to a break week. We had 2 weeks off of this series. And honestly, it was a pretty rough 2 weeks. Not for the fact of like, man, I was enjoying this manga so much, like I need to know next chapter. But really a bit of the opposite, where last chapter ended off on a really sore foot, in my opinion. No pun intended, I know this arc is all about chopping off people's feet, but that on a sore foot was not intended. Maybe it should have been. That would have been a whole lot funnier, right? And of course, we honestly sort of start off this chapter in that same way of me not being so super hype about all of the moments going on with it. I just don't think it's the best way we could have sat down and told the story that, of course, Aka Asakasa, Ojiokura, and Aziachika are trying to tell within the story of this manga. But we will talk about all of that whenever we get into it. But of course, we need to talk about what happened last time in Märchen Crown. And very simply put, we saw how Rapunzel ended up getting kidnapped from all of our evil main characters, pretty much, right? And we didn't really know where she went, besides she probably went to the capital city where the castle is. And, oh no, Mikel Lefina and Master Mihal, who of course is the three other characters we really know of in this series, we're all going through and we're getting ready to go and save Rapunzel. And very conveniently, there is a church that held a super convenient tunnel that led these characters straight to the castle. How long this tunnel is, we have no idea. Is the castle just like, I don't know, 50 feet away from where the church is? Who knows? But it's just a very long brick paved tunnel that just runs between these two areas. Like I said, the most convenient thing I've ever heard of, right? I'm sorry, I was just like, I'm not going to say anything about it because I don't have anything good to say, you know what I'm saying, right? I don't know what I'm saying at this point, right? But the whole idea is Master Mihal stay behind because, like, hey, you're not competent enough to come with us. Oh man, that sucks! And that's where we ended last chapter, with Lefina and Mikel sort of heading down this tunnel and getting ready to go save Rapunzel. And we open up this chapter of Märchen Crown, of course, chapter number 13, in the same exact spot. As, honestly, the best way I think I can describe the beginning of this chapter is that of a bad RPG video game. I imagine like a 2D video game. Recently, I have been playing a 3DS game. It was originally a DS game, but got remade for 3DS, called Radiant Historia, and of course the 3DS remake was called Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. So that may be a reason I've not uploaded as many videos on this channel, and also the main reason of, like, yeah, it's a JRPG, it takes a lot of time to get through, right? But the whole idea of this chapter starts off with, oh god, oh wow, look at that, Lefina and Mikel are finally at the castle, and Lefina, they're walking up these steps, and Lefina's like, oh, we finally made it, this has to be the way out. Mikel makes a remark of, oh wow, it's been a really safe journey up until now, but I wonder what will happen whenever we get outside. They open up the door and Lefina says, who knows, we'll be lucky if there aren't any enemies waiting for us. They open up the door and Mikel looks around like, oh wow, where are we? Are we at the castle? And Lefina says, yes, we are at the castle, probably somewhere in the upper regions. And then a voice comes from behind him saying, hey, what are you doing here? And Lefina's like, oh my gosh, I guess we weren't so lucky. And these are two Ankle Reapers who appear right behind them, and we see that they're both holding massive axes in their hands. And one of them just goes, "Oh, you dare to cause a stir at the capital when their majesty's long-cherished wish is soon to be fulfilled? Such insolence! Unforgivable! Eliminate them!" And they raise their weapons, the JRPG into battle sound effect happens, and we get one of the first battles of the game, right? Or I guess, like, this is the first battle of Chapter 1, being that we did have a prologue earlier, where we learned all the game mechanics with the whole cruise, Prince Guam and Michael fight that we had in those first two chapters of the series, right? And it's just so funny, because I was reading this, and I'm like, what does this really remind me of? I'm like, oh yeah, it's just JRPG dialogue. Not to say that the JRPG I've been playing, which is Radiant Historia, is a bad game. I think it's very good, but just the way that those games have to be set up, where it's like, oh yeah, so you can get like 3 texts of dialogue, or 3 lines of dialogue at a time, normally not more than a sentence or two, and you're going through all of that stuff back and forth, back and forth. And that's legitimately how the beginning of this chapter felt to me. They walk up some stairs. They're there. Oh no, a battle that they didn't want ensued. It is what it is there, right? But as this battle starts to begin, the JRPG music is playing. I don't know from what video game series, but something's going on here, right? As Michael has one of these flashbacks where he remembers back to like 2 or so chapters ago, whenever he met with that random cursed person who came to pretty much say hello to him, right? Of course, as we pretty much get confirmed here, this is the King Ila, that of course I talked about earlier here a moment ago. But the whole idea is like, oh wow, he just remembers him like, hey, keep a strong will, you must not give in to all of these violent emotions. If you can do that, then the curse can even become your strength, right? As we see that Michael is starting to be able to control all of the vines around him pretty much, right? As it seems like some vines sprout out from his neck and pretty much go through and start to tangle up some of the Ankle Reaper's axes along with a little bit of their body, right? He goes through and disarms all of these guys, and he pretty much uses the vines to pull himself forward and knees one of the Ankle Reapers straight into the face. And it's honestly a really cool idea where it's like, oh yeah, instead of like pulling them towards me, I'm going to use the vines I have attached to pull me towards them instead. I really do like how that's sort of set up here, right? But of course, there are 2 Ankle Reapers, and after seeing his buddy go down, the second one is like, oh no, he's just like His Majesty, and he runs away going, oh curses, we need reinforcements. And this is really funny on 2 levels of like, the first part like, oh yes, he's just like His Majesty, accursed, and then just like using the word curses is like a bad thing, like, oh golly gee curses, what am I ever supposed to do? As we see that he starts to run away, right? And Lefina starts to be like, hey Michael, we need to do something about him. But Michael is already on it as he pretty much holds out his hand and vines sprout out of it once more. And he pretty much grabs the guy by the neck and the guy like starts to run. Like the Ankle Reaper tries to move past this. But the vines legitimately just strangle him. Probably he's dead here. We don't know for 100% sure, but I'm guessing he is being the way that he's like trying to twist out of him and he just like is gurgling and like it's honestly a very weird panel. Like, oh my gosh, I don't like that, right? As he just falls to the ground. I'm guessing he's dead, but who knows? It could be unconscious. Maybe this one Ankle Reaper will be important in 50 chapters. We never really know, right? But Lefina then just says, like, wow, Michael, like, you're way more capable than I actually thought, right? As Michael's just like, alright, let's hurry, Miss Lefina. And Lefina starts to, like, dive into a few of the ideas that the Ankle Reapers were talking about. The whole idea of, like, hey, they said their wish was soon to be fulfilled, and if that wish involves using Rapunzel in some way, then we are on a timer, pretty much, right? And he also just, and Lefina just says, like, hey, it's probably why security is also so tight right now, and I really wonder how many enemies we'll have to face before we end up reaching her, right? As Michael looks up to the castle around him, right, and sees the biggest spire. And all of a sudden, he just asks, like, hey, Miss Lefina, are you okay with heights? And that's where we end the little segment following Lefina and Michael. Like I said, it honestly started this chapter off on a little bit of a wrong foot for me as well, because, of course, this chapter comes out at 11 a.m. currently, Eastern Standard Time, where I am. I live on the East Coast of the United States, so that's when this chapter comes out for me. And I was actually doing some work. I've got a little bit of a side gig right now, doing some stuff at a storage unit, and while me and my friend were at the storage unit working, we were going through some stuff, and I'm like, oh wow, it's 11. I was like, alright, I need to take a break anyway. It's really hot down in my area. Like, it was 96 or something stupid outside today. So I sort of like sit down, I'm like, alright, let me sit down and read the Märchen Crown chapter while I'm taking a break, right? And I sit down, and I just open it up, and I couldn't even get 2 pages into this without being like, alright, I'm not in the mood for this now. I don't think I can legitimately sit down here and, like, continue reading this, because the sour taste that last chapter left in my mouth and going into this one wasn't a necessarily good feeling, and the beginning of this chapter really just doesn't do it for me. I don't know what it is. Is it cool to see Michael, like, start to become more adept of his powers? It is, but I don't know yet. I just don't know what's bugging me about it, right? But it's at this point where we go and cut over to where Rapunzel is. She is in the tallest spire of the tower, so Michael, sort of putting 2 and 2 together, he's looking pretty good, right? But we see that Rapunzel is just pretty much sitting in a chair. She's not tied up or anything, but of course, her right foot, I almost said left, I'm like, wait a second, I need to, like, think about this image. Whatever foot it is, it's mirrored because she's facing me. It's her right foot. It got an arrow shot through it, so it's not like she's easily going to get up and run, even if she's not, like, tied down to the chair, right? And also, presumably, where is she going to run to, right? But at this point, we start to hear a little bit of a rattle and a jolt as the door to this room opens, as we see Cinderella and Ella walk into the room. Or actually, we see Idra pushing Cinderella into the room, as we see that Cinderella is in a wheelchair. This was one of the best moments of this chapter, is getting this reveal of, oh, wait a second, she's not, like, just going after her feet for any reason, she's wheelchair bound, and it's just like, a lot of this is starting to click together now, why she needs all of the feet, all of this other various stuff, and honestly, it was just a really cool thing when I'm like, oh, what is that? I'm like, oh, wait a second, he's pushing a wheelchair that she's in, and it's just done really, really well here in the moment, right? I'm just like, oh yeah, wow, look at that, that's pretty interesting, right? But either way, Cinderella is just like, oh, pierced by an arrow, you poor thing. And I specifically told them to bring you to me unharmed. As we see that the person behind him is like, oh, as we see that Cinderella is like, oh yes, you must be surprised. Such a girl truly exists. And Cinderella's like, no, Rapunzel's like, no, like, who are you people, right? Cinderella's like, oh yes, my name is Cinderella, and this man behind me is Pontius King Ella, and I am his companion. And Rapunzel's like, oh, Miss Cinderella, like, what are you planning to do with me, right? And Cinderella's like, oh, to do with you, haha, what a boorish way of words. As we see, she's like, hey, your majesty, why don't we show her what we're getting ready to do? As we get a good look at the room where Cinderella just came into and where Rapunzel is currently sitting, and we see that all of the walls in the room are draped by curtains. As we see that Ella walks up into the middle of the room, of course pushing Cinderella, and there's a rope right in the middle that he starts to yank down on. And as he does, all of these curtains pull up and reveal a bunch of jars with a single foot in each. As we see, there's hundreds of feet in this room. Really, we get a good look at presumably what is 18 times 9? Let me quickly type it into my computer because I can't think right now. We see at least 162 feet in this room, but we don't know how many more it is. It's a lot of severed, bloody feet though, right? And Cinderella's like, oh, don't you know what these are? That's right, they are human feet. And of course, Rapunzel's very much like, I don't know if I like this, I don't really know. But what we see in Cinderella's hands is actually one of these vials of feet, and she says like, oh yes, these are feet. We've collected them from the most beautiful people in all the land. Isn't that just so lovely? And Rapunzel's like, why would you do something this cruel? Like, I don't like this, right? As King Ella just says like, oh yes, it might just seem very cruel indeed to an innocent girl like you who is yet to know the truths of love. However, this is all necessary for our ceremony. For our great love that was obstrued by the curse. With this ceremony, we shall transcend that barrier and become truly wed. We shall become the rulers of men who reign over the supreme world, and this ceremony marks the beginning of our rule. Or that's what I was told. Did she not tell you the same? Your witch, I mean. And of course Rapunzel, like the rest of the audience, is like, how do you know, Madame Witch? Like, what are all the connections here, right? And of course, in the typical fashion, King Elias is like, oh, yes, well, that is not for you to know currently, but it is certainly convenient for sure. I never imagined the first princess I must kill would appear before me like this. So now I shall claim your life. I hardly need your foot anymore, but I shall claim that too. I offer you my pain, for pain too is a form of love. As he takes out a sword that was sitting on his side and starts to pull it out, as we see the sword is made out of a clear material. Presumably this is the Cinderella fairy tale, so I'm guessing it is a glass sword, sort of like a glass slipper and all of that other stuff. But it's honestly a really interesting visual, as we just see it not only framed over Cinderella's face as he's pulling it off, but also like framed underneath his chin and around his neck as he pulls it out, right? And, of course, Rapunzel doesn't like this. She is not happy whatsoever, and she legitimately falls out of the chair that she was sitting in and is up on the ground, like she's trying to skimmy her way back to the window, but of course, like, she's got a busted foot. She's not able to move that well, right? But as she moves up to this piece of stained glass window, we see in the back, we see just an image of somebody coming through with a foot. It almost looks like two people, and like maybe they're swinging on vines or something. Is it like Tarzan? I don't really know, right? But King Elias just says like, hey, I implore you to accept the love from deep within my bosom. As all of a sudden, the stained glass window behind two of them shatters open, as we see that Mikel, who's got Lefina pretty much like holding around his neck like, we're flying pretty much. He comes through, smashes to the window, foot pretty much front and center, as Rapunzel turns around and is like, Mikel! And that's where we end the chapter on this like, oh wow, all of our parties are finally here. It seems like we're going to be getting a bit of a bigger confrontation. And yeah, that's where we end this chapter of Märchen Crown. So, as much as I shit on the beginning of this chapter for being just like, oh yes, standard JRPG, I did very much enjoy the second half of this chapter. I think really the big, most interesting thing to me is just the fact that Cinderella is wheelchair bound. We don't know how exactly that ties into the feat, if like, oh, she needs to get a new foot, but also presumably this whole thing that was like, oh, our love was obscured by the curse. We get a visual here where it's not only, presumably it's King Elias' hand and the hand of Cinderella pretty much holding together, and we see that vines are coming out of one of the hands and pretty much wrapping around the other. I don't know if the whole idea is there's some way to make the other party also cursed, and that's the way this love can pretty much like be the grand thing of like, oh yes, maybe we needed all these feet so Cinderella can move again, but whenever she's about to become cursed, it won't really be an issue after that part. We don't really have all the confirmation on that, but that's really my biggest ideal, because of course, as we see that Elias says, we don't need the feet anymore, or whatever he's getting ready to like go up to Rapunzel to kill her, like, I hardly need your foot anymore, but I shall claim that too. It's still a bit of an interesting thing on one fact of like, okay, I can see where we're going with this, but also we don't have all of the details yet. And I think that's a totally fine thing for a manga like this to do, right? Of course, we have the whole idea, okay, this guy is just the king of Ponsnia. Of course, we know about two nations right now, Flamia and Ponsnia, and Ponsnia's king is right here in front of us, and presumably he's very important, being that he is not only a cursed human, which is a little bit of a weird thing, but also he's Cinderella's lover, and Cinderella all seems to know what's going on here. We have this whole idea of who is Madame Witch as well, and who is she pretty much coming into here right now. And this is very interesting, because he pretty much says like, hey, were you not told the same? And if I had to put money on it right now, I think that throughout the course of Märchen Crown, we are going to be meeting a bunch of other fairy tale princesses, and each of them will have a prince that corresponds to some level of being cursed. Of course, what is my basis for this right now? Oh wow, we have Rapunzel and Cinderella, two princesses. Oh, and would you believe, they've got two cursed guys who they're in love with pretty much. I don't know, but this is just like the theory's writing itself in my own head, right? So we're going to be meeting plenty of other areas of these guys, and the way I look at it, I think we are about to read a Battle Royale story, where we have all of these characters, all of these princes and princesses, that are all wanting the same thing, to truly be in love and to be recognized by people. And the only way to do that is by killing everybody else, and they can rule over the world, pretty much. And that's where I think this story is going, for the whole fact of like, oh yes, didn't Madame Witch tell you? I'm guessing Madame Witch raised up Rapunzel to sort of like have a stake in this battle or something. I don't really know the details right now, but the whole idea of like, oh, so I was told by your witch, because of course it seems like Ela was informed of this by Madame Witch, and the whole idea is like, hey, it's just convenient. I never imagined the first princess I would kill would appear before me like this. So there's obviously many that you need to kill, so I don't know, it seems just like, hey, we're going to have to, all but one princess can survive. They've got bodyguards who are these cursed guys. Makes sense enough to me, and they're each going to have these arcs based on their respective fairy tale. Cinderella's has to do with glass slippers. Well, it seems like we've got a glass sword and a bunch of glass ampules filled with feet. So yeah, presumably next chapter we're going to get some stuff like, hey, Michael and Ela are fighting, and also a confrontation between Lefina and Cinderella, presuming that we are all correct in, like, the whole idea of, like, yes, Cinderella is Lefina's sister. Of course, this Bellina character who we've heard of a little bit here and there, right? But honestly, I don't have too much else to say about this chapter. I really feel like I got out all of my thoughts on it here in the video. So, yeah, just thank you guys so very much for watching this video on Märchen Crown chapter number 13. Like I said, I don't think it starts off the best of any chapter, but I don't think by the end of it, I want to read what comes next week, right? But if you did enjoy this video, I've talked about every single other chapter of Märchen Crown. There'll be a playlist link down in the description box of this video, along on the end card of this video. And hey, if you did enjoy the video, I cover plenty of other anime and manga related content on the YouTube channel. Just go to @Glowplasma and you can find all of my content there. And as far as the next chapter of Märchen Crown, it looks like we'll be getting it here in 1 week. On Wednesday, July 16th. Of course, for me, it is 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Times will vary whenever you exist, pretty much. And by that, I mean your time zones. So, yeah, I'll catch you guys for the next one. And yeah, this was Märchen Crown. I'm going to call it now. This is going to be a Battle Royale story. I just know it. It's Asa Asakasa. What's the one genre? They've done drama. They did actor drama. They did rom-com. Battle Royale is like the next evolution to that, you know? I mean, every author has to do a Battle Royale story at some point. And to all of you out there who are like, I know plenty of authors who haven't done it yet, well, they're still in their authoring career. I mean, Eiichiro Oda, the guy who does One Piece, we haven't seen a massive Battle Royale arc yet, but it could be said, the Battle Royale, the winner, is just who finds the One Piece at the end, and you gotta kill everybody else so it can never get stolen from you, you know? My Hero Academia. The best hero is the one who lives at the end of the day. What other manga are on my shelf that I can easily reference that also are not just battle shonen? I don't know. I legitimately actually do not know. It's something that does not run in a Shonen Jump based magazine, or that I don't know. Freer and Beyond Journey's End. It's in Shonen Sunday. It's Shogakukan, but like, I don't know. All right. I'll catch you guys next time. This is going to be Battle Royale Analyzer Glowplasma 231, signing out.